What's up? Wanted to talk a little bit about REDFALL. Just as I was saying yesterday that there was no real gaming news that I wanted to kind of cover. REDFALL, they dropped that tweet yesterday basically saying that the game's only going to launch with a 30 FPS mode, and they're going to add a 60 FPS mode at a later date. Now, obviously, the gaming community and the Twitter sphere has gone absolutely haywire. The game's getting absolutely dragged through the mud. I would say not just by, Sony laughing and sort of mocking them, but there are some genuine Xbox accounts and people that are genuinely upset by this. And I would say, rightly so. I think, when you're marketing your console as the world's most powerful console, and you're bringing out a first-person shooter, an online first-person shooter in 2023, and you can't launch it, past 30 frames per second, it's a little bit of a worry, and it doesn't make Xbox look any good. It's not a good look for them. I don't know what is going on with Xbox. They just can't seem to catch a break. I don't think they've had an absolute AAA banger since Forza. I genuinely think the only in-house games that they've, released in the last 11 years has been Gears, Forza and Halo. I don't think that there's been anything outside of that. This is the first game with under an acquisition. This is one of their flagship, acquisition studios, Arcane, which are, certainly a great studio. I've loved every single Arcane game that I've played. Absolutely adored Dishonored, Dishonored 2, Dishonored, the third one. It wasn't named, it wasn't called Dishonored 3, but Prey. I enjoyed Prey. I enjoyed Deathloop. I thought, they'd make some really quality, stand-up games. This game looks a little bit different to what they usually make. It's a 4-player online, you can play offline, but it's a 4-player online first-person shooter where you're hunting vampires. And it's going to be running at 30 FPS. And, it's a real shame when this sort of news breaks, because you do sort of see the type of people that just, damage control, and the amount of people that I've seen that are saying 30 FPS is totally fine. That's your prerogative. That's totally your prerogative to play a game at 30 FPS. But for me and many other people out there, 30 FPS is a last generation optimization. I have no desire to play any game in 30 frames per second. When I get an option to play a video game, when it gives me performance mode or resolution mode, I always choose performance mode. I would much rather have a smoother frame rate than slightly better graphics. And hopefully we'll get to the point in the future when maybe with the next iteration of these consoles that will actually be able to have a high frame rate and good resolution at the same time. 30 FPS for me is just out the door. I do not think it should be in any conversation when it comes to next gen gaming. I've only just been playing on PC for the past year and a half to nearly 2 years, and the fact that I'm able to play Cyberpunk at an unlocked frame rate is unbelievable. And once you've seen that, going back to 30 frames per second is like, it's just such a massive backstep. And Call of Duty on the PS5 and the Xbox runs at 100. Do you know what I mean? It maybe has a few little dips, but it's 100 frames per second, and even that's just, once you've seen that, to see anything above 30 and then go back to 30 is ridiculous. Your eyes can't unsee what you've seen. I think the base level for any game now should be 60 FPS. I think personally it should be 100, but 60 just to keep everybody happy. But 60 should be the ground level. 60 and up should be, going forward. I don't really feel like, this generation's really got off the ground. I really feel like we're in this sort of limbo of this cross-generation period, and it kind of just cements the fact for me that I don't really think we needed these next-gen systems, because we're still fanning about with the Xbox One versions and the PS4 versions. I understand that they've got a big install base, but you've got to cut the apron strings at some point and sort of move forward. PS5s and Xbox Series X's are a lot easier to find now, especially PS5s. And, I really want to see what these systems can do when they've had the training wheels taken off, The only game that I think I've played that I'm not really a big fan of, but I thought, wow, this game looks amazing, was Returnal, and that's really the only sort of next-gen game that I think I've seen. Forza, the latest Forza game was amazing as well. But yeah, it's not a good look for Xbox. It's low-hanging fruit to make fun of Xbox. It's very easy. They're an easy target. I still, to this day, think that they are suffering from what Don Matrick did with the Xbox One. I don't know if there's a management problem. I don't know if they just don't seem to. They can't seem to catch a break, and they can't seem to sort of get off the ground. And we're always talking about what's coming, rather than what's actually coming. You see a lot of people on Twitter, when the acquisitions are going on and all this sort of stuff. Look, Xbox has just expanded their studios by this many, and having all the banners of these games that are coming, Perfect Dark Zero, Fable 4, Indiana Jones, Avowed, Hellblade 2, all these games. And it's like, yeah, it's all well and good talking about these games, but they're not actually in any way, there's no release dates for them. We just know that they're coming. And if anything, I think video game companies now announce games too early. But maybe because Xbox are just trying to get people excited about stuff, that they're announcing things that are just totally out of reach for at least 3 or 4 years. So I don't know. I mean, Redfall, I'll still play it. I know there was a lot of people that went to a preview show, Colt Eastwood being one of them. A lot of people were calling him out yesterday on Twitter saying, you went to this preview show, why didn't you know that it was a 30 FPS game? He's addressed it in a video, basically saying that, a bunch of influencers and, him and influencers went to an event. It was a room full of PCs where Redfall was installed. PCs looked a bit basic. It didn't really hit 60 FPS all the time. Another one of the influencers, that he was sat next to tried to go into the PC settings to try and alter the settings to improve the frame rate. It couldn't. So, it's just not. It's not a good look. And the thing is, what do they do? Do they delay the game until they get a 60 FPS update? A lot of people I've heard saying on Twitter saying that people are overreacting. A lot of people saying that the game's dead in the water. I don't believe that it's dead in the water. I think that the game will, if the game's fun, that'll be fine. But, just delay it until summer. I mean, the game, Redfall's coming out on the 2nd of May. It's going, the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom's coming out a couple of days later, or the 13th, a week later. So nobody's going to be playing Redfall, we're going to be playing Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild 2. So there's no harm in delaying the game until spring, or summer, sorry. Delay it till summer when there's nothing, really coming out. But this is I think this is a little bit, it's a little bit more hurtful for Xbox, because this is their first AAA exclusive under this new sort of acquisition umbrella. Maybe I've noticed that sometimes, you know, when you're on Twitter and stuff, the Xbox super fans, you know, the ones that we're talking about, have a really bad habit of overhyping stuff. And I think that this is the first AAA game that is coming out, and I've seen a lot of people just constantly, you know, absolutely gush for this game. And I think that in many ways the super fans are very much a detriment to themselves, because they overhype a game to the point where it whips everyone up into a frenzy, and then when it doesn't reach that hype, then that's when, you know, they sort of it's like a deflation, you know what I mean? But, you know, there was also some gameplay that was released by IGN that had a hands-on preview, and the person playing the video game just didn't have a clue what they were doing. It wasn't great gameplay. You could tell the person just wasn't, you know, it was almost like it was the first time that they picked up a controller. Very janky, running away from the boss that they were fighting, wasn't using the equipment properly, wasn't resin, you know, helping revive teammates and stuff. So that was, you know, a lot of people were kind of turned off by that as well. So yeah, the game's coming to Game Pass, so everyone's going to play it day one. Is that another reason why they've just rushed it out the door, because it's coming to Game Pass? But this isn't really a new thing, you know. Video games come out now and they just rush them out the door and patch them later, and it shouldn't really be, you know, a shock. This is gaming, but a lot of people being vocal about this. I was also, you know, sort of wondering, are they testing the water? Because Starfield was running at 30, and are they testing the water to see how REDFALL's received at 30 FPS in the hopes that, you know, they can get away with it with Starfield? And I don't think they can. I think the best option for Microsoft at the moment is to delay REDFALL. I know it's literally ready and it's ready to go. It's literally coming out in, you know, the 2nd of May. But, you know, delay it. You can't afford to release a game in that state, especially if it's, you know, your first AAA banger. So yeah, just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about that. So that's my thoughts on REDFALL. I'm still going to play the game. I'll probably wait for the actual update itself. So yeah, anyone who is a new subscriber, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe if you like the video, and comment below if you have an opinion. I love to read comments and get involved in the comment section. So feeling a little bit better today on the old lemon sips, the old paracetamol hot lemon drinks. So I'll see you on the next video, and all the best. Have a good week.